Welcome back to Light Talk, where the paranormal and the supernatural is a part of our everyday lives. Well, exciting stories tonight for you all. So let us get started. And welcome to the show. And go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, folks. I'm William Stillman, and I am a psychic medium. And I have been doing the work professionally now for 21 years. And I love it. It is endlessly fascinating to me personally. I'm constantly learning new things. And I'm really delighted to be here with Dana and interested in having a very interesting chat with everyone tonight.
And I'm sure we will. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with your so you self-taught yourself on what you're doing with no devices. So can you explain more with that? We'll start with that.
I'm completely self-taught. And so when I got to a certain level of competency, I decided, well, if anyone local to me was ever questioning or wondering about their own abilities, they wouldn't go without if I could help it. So I actually teach a class, and I have six former students that are doing the work professionally or semi-professionally now too. Yeah. But I started out life as a very intensely, painfully, exquisitely sensitive little boy. And I had a lot of very unusual things happen to me as a child, a lot of deja vu, a lot of premonitions, a lot of very vivid dreams, like really strange things happening around me. And some of it wasn't very pleasant also. And when you're that young and you're that sensitive and you're kind of different, kids are oblivious up until a certain age. And then like 11, 12, 13, on the precipice of adolescence, then they start becoming more sophisticated and judgmental. And I was easily odd man out. For many years, I was verbally harassed and physically abused, and my speech and body language were openly mocked and mimicked in front of other people. And so all of that sensitivity that I had as a child got blocked up because I didn't have a support system around me in any way. And I only associated the concept of God with like the occasional 90 minutes on a Sunday morning. I didn't expand the concept of God to be immediately accessible at any given moment. And so I unfortunately began reflecting back what people were projecting upon me as a defense mechanism, but that's an explanation, but not an excuse. And so I began to become like really ugly and cynical and bitter and remained that way for a long time. It wasn't until I'm in my 60s now, so it wasn't until I was in my late 30s that I really put my foot down and decided that I didn't want to behave like this any longer. And for anyone listening, I really want to drive that point home that none of us is locked into portraying ourselves indefinitely in the way that people have always known us to be. And you
That's
can
right.
change and transform with the next breath if you choose to do so. Yeah. And so I put time and effort into transforming. I reestablished a relationship with God or the higher power about whom I had been completely dismissive and indifferent for decades. And I wanted to reclaim that sensitivity that I experienced as a child. And Dana, once I made that commitment, I made up for decades in under 3 months. I was on the fast track and I was experiencing intensely vivid dreams on a nightly basis where I was being given problems to solve in the dreams of a spiritual nature, problems to solve. I was introduced to my lead spirit guide, and that was validated loud and clear in real time through an incident that happened, which we can talk about at some point if you'd like to. And that's when I began to do the psychic mediumship work. So if I can figure it out like around age 40 as a late bloomer, then I'm living proof that anyone can figure it out, truly. But it's not something that just drops into your lap. It's something that you have to want and desire and be willing to invest the time and effort into cultivating, and to do so with great regard and great respect. And I really pride myself on being extremely accurate in the work that I do. And I've been on the receiving end of just truly miraculous experiences. That's what I inferred when I said it's endlessly fascinating to me personally.
Yeah, I've had a lot of experiences myself, and I'm in my 50s, and I am started my journey when I was in my mid 40s. So I'm just starting all of this,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's been
congratulations, because it's never too
been
late.
fun.
It's never
No,
too late.
no, it's
It's
not,
like,
and it's
and
joy.
we've got resources at our disposal that are just like waiting patiently in the wings for us to wake up and get it.
Right,
And then they'll reveal themselves to us, right?
right. I'm working on it. I'm doing what I can with the time I have. So
Hmm.
it's been I could do this all day. I wish I could. This would be something I'd love to do.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get there.
Well, baby steps, right?
That's right.
Baby steps. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm taking them.
Yes. But you're right.
Yeah.
I don't use devices of any kind. I have never, I wouldn't know how to use a deck of tarot cards or angel cards or crystals or pendulums or anything like that. I'm blessed to experience all of the clairs. If your folks know what the clairs are, they correlate to the senses, and they're extensions or magnifications of the senses. And so I receive information through a combination of the clairs. So I'll get visuals in my head. I'll see pictures, movies, words, phrases, names in my head. I will hear things in my head. So I'll hear sounds and noises. I will hear music a lot of times. They'll use music to communicate a concept or lyrics that have specific meaning. I will be caused to feel something physically. I will smell or taste things also. So, best case scenario is I'm sitting with a client, and someone's grandmother comes through, and they want to feed us. And she's making like this really great meal and things that are her specialty. And I'm tasting it in my mouth and smelling it. And then the worst case scenario are the times where I'm tasting blood in my mouth, and my client will say, yes, he put the barrel of a gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. So,
Oh,
but that comes
yeah.
with the territory. It's part of the job, and it's all very, very brief and fleeting. It's nothing that lingers indefinitely.
Yeah, that's what I've gotten too, but it's um it's not consistent like I would think it would be, but I do get them periodically. I'll come through. Like I believe my mom coming through, she was a big smoker. And I kept smelling cigarettes for about 2 months. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't smoke. So I'm like, no, you got to stop. You got to stop. And it got to the point where I took a breath and it burnt my throat like I just took a puff. And I
Hmm.
was getting headaches and everything. So I like jumped all over. That's enough.
Yeah.
Give me something
Well,
else.
that's actually a really common way of spirit communicating, is by sending those scents or aromas, such as the cigarette smoke, the pipe tobacco smoke, which to me smells pleasant and is usually a grandfather or a great grandfather. the cigar smoke, a lot of times the cooking aromas that we just talked about, um, the perfume or the cologne scents. Also, I smell a lot of Jean Naté, by the way, for like older gals coming through. They'll show me a bottle of Jean, with the black cap, and it has sort of a lemony scent to it. They'll show me the Jean Naté. But it's very common, and um, there's no disputing when you're driving a car and the windows are rolled up and you're smelling it in the car, you know.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I finally said that's enough. And you know what? I'm okay with you connecting with me and all of this, but I can't do the smoke. You got to give me something else. So then I started smelling waffles and maple syrup. Like that's much better. Thank
And
you.
and would you connect that in memory to mother?
I could. There for a
Because
while, I
it's
thought it was
always
my,
it
yeah.
yeah, it's always connected in memory. Like it will trigger a memory. That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. With me, it's because my mom was always a smoker, but my uncle was a smoker too. So then when I started smelling the sweetness and everything, that made me think it was my mom because my mom was diabetic and she loved her sweets.
Oh,
Yeah.
hmm,
So it was like,
interesting.
yeah, that was mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. But it's
Yeah.
it's endlessly fascinating, as I said. It's never, I always say it's never dull.
Yeah.
It's never dull, it's never boring. And I have to tell our listeners too that I get blown away just as much as everybody else does. I never know what to expect.
So what's your, I always, this is my favorite question to ask everybody. What is your most exciting experience you've had and your most scariest or experience?
Well, I've never had a frightening experience
That's
because
good.
I don't allow that to
Okay.
happen. And I've done, paranormal investigations, and I've been in some really unpleasant situations, but I've never felt fear from anything. Um, I don't know that I've had an exciting experience. As I said, it's more fascinating to me, but I will share a really quick story that comes to mind that's stuck with me when I was sitting with a female client and her brother came through and he indicated whenever they snap their fingers, it's a communication to me that they went out very quickly and usually very tragically. It's not a suicide. My symbol for a suicide is when I hear a gunshot ring out.
Yeah. Okay.
Even if the person did not shoot themselves, that's my symbol for someone took their life. When they pass tragically like this, it's usually an overdose or a vehicle accident of some sort. And so he snapped his fingers to show me he passed very quickly and tragically. And then he was making me hear a motorcycle revving up. And she said,
Oh,
yes, he drove motorcycle. And there had been a collision with his motorcycle. And I said, he keeps showing me a red fox, and I don't know what that is. And she didn't know what it meant either. And so we just moved on with the rest of the session. Well, she followed up with me. As it's always the case, people, they need time when their mind is more relaxed. They need time to process the information and then they start connecting the dots. And
right.
I've never heard of this before, but the family kept a piece of the wreckage of the motorcycle. I don't know why you would do that, but they did. And
Okay.
it was from the front fender area of the motorcycle, and on it was a red fox.
Oh,
And so that's what he was trying to tell us during the session. I was thinking it was an animal, obviously, but it
right.
was it was just the emblem on the motorcycle, and they had saved it. and they kept it in the family. So he was making reference to that. So I think that was a really beautiful thing. And that's the type of experience that I have on a regular basis, that
And
sort of
that's
thing.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that type of connection with it. I haven't, well, I've seen people's faces. I've described some things to people and also, I mean, it comes in spurts, you know.
Right. For me, because people will sometimes ask me, what is it that you see when someone comes forward? Well, it really depends upon the the will and the energetic strength of the spirit. Because sometimes to me, it's like I can tell they're male or female,
Mhm.
and otherwise it's sort of like looking at someone through a fog or a haze. And then other times it's crystal clear and I can describe them in detail. I get a lot of deceased veterans, and they like to show me their military portrait because
Oh,
they're very proud of that. And I know they're military because when they come through, they always salute, and that's the symbol for military service. But it serves double duty also because they communicate to me that they appear now youthful in the way that they did in that portrait. And so it's to let us know that their energy has been rejuvenated and restored and revitalized so that they feel like that young man again.
well, that's cool. That's neat that you see that in the picture that they give you. And that's kind of how the oracle cards are too. It's kind of like
Hmm.
that. You read it in the sense of what brings forth. What
Right.
does this
Well,
mean to you? Yeah.
yeah. I don't want people to think that I'm knocking cards
Oh,
if
no,
that's what
no.
you use and you feel comfortable with. It's my
Yeah.
opinion that they're not necessary, and I think that
Right.
the more you become immersed in and acclimated to conducting a proper session, the less you'll need to rely on them as you develop that confidence, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've dabbled into the oracle cards and all too. I do readings and stuff for it.
Hmm.
Um so I kind of look at that at the moment, but I see what you're saying by seeing things in the mind and being able to describe them and kind of see what's going on a bit. Yeah.
Hmm.
I've seen that.
Yeah, the times that I really get blown away are the times where I've had people's animals come through, their pets, and I'm talking to the deceased pets. Or there's been a couple of occasions where I've had an extraterrestrial come through,
How did that go?
and that's pretty wild. Well, the first time I think it's been two or three times that that's happened in 21 years. And I think it was the first or second time. It was actually in a discussion group of people who were interested in UFOs or who had direct encounters with UFOs or had some very unusual experiences. I don't think anyone said they were abducted, but they definitely felt they had some unusual experiences, like maybe time missing in their childhood or things like that. And I went into sort of a trance-like state and kept my eyes closed the entire time. This was in a room full of maybe 20 people. And the extraterrestrial came forward through me. And fortunately, there was a court stenographer in the room.
Oh,
And she transcribed the whole thing because it was fascinating.
wow.
And I can get you the PDF of the transcription because my eyes were closed the entire time, and he was actually answering people's questions who they had their hands raised, but I wasn't seeing it, or he was answering their questions before they were even asked.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And at one point, I said to him, "What do I call you?" And
Mhm.
he responded with a series of noises that sounded like, to me, the only thing I could relate it to was like the dolphin sonar, like the clicking that you hear
Oh,
underwater.
okay.
And I said, I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know what that is. Is there something else I can call you? And he said, call me Richard, which I thought was terribly mundane and pedestrian. Uh, but then at some point later, I looked up the name Richard and the origins of the name, and it translates to powerful leader,
Oh, very cool.
which was interesting to me. Yes. And he was telling me a lot of things about his species that I later ran past a very well-known ufologist who's written books on the subject. And he was telling me things about their physiology. And I shared this with this person, and he said, there's only one other person in the world that knows those things. And so that gave
Mm.
authenticity to what I was channeling.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was very strange. It was a little uncomfortable for me. Of course, I came out of it with no memory of any of it, but I have the transcription now, and it's fascinating. He was describing the grand reveal that's pending and that it will happen within our lifetime. And he was talking about how there are select individuals globally around the world that have been singled out in their communities. They're called the nobles. And
Mm.
these are usually men. And sorry, gals, but men in times of crisis, people look to men for direction typically. I'm not saying that's correct, but it's usually men. And they have this nodule behind one ear that's
Mm.
organic, but it's been placed there. It's sort of like it's not a tracking device so much as it's something that they will be able to download information
Okay.
using this implant. And at the time of the grand reveal, the nobles are the people who, in their respective communities, are going to be able to help to contain hysteria and are
Nice.
going to be the voice of reason in uniting the community and helping the community to understand what's happening.
Nice. Nice.
So I don't know anything about UFOs. I don't know how this jives with every other things that people are discussing in the UFO world or ET world, but I can only tell you what I've been told.
Right, right. I'm very interested in the ET world. Um, in fact, I just had a really cool little meditation that directed me to some of my guides, and that was fantastic. I just rewatched it today, and it's like, oh, that was so cool.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
they've been here forever, forever and
Oh
ever.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
so, you know, people who fear them, I think, are misinterpreting their intent because they're here to be helpful. But what's really interesting is that, like angels, like our deceased loved ones in spirit, they won't interfere with free will
No.
unless it's a situation of like dire emergency. And we've all heard stories of, really miraculous things happening where, people were pulled from burning wrecks and, things like that. And, then the people who saved them just vanished. So that's been their position is they're not going to interfere with free will. So if they wanted to destroy us, they certainly would. But they've told me loud and clear they will not allow us to destroy ourselves. They have great care and concern for us, but they're more concerned about the planet itself. And if we blow up the planet, that has a ripple effect that affects the entire universe.
All the cosmos and everything. Yeah, it would be destructive to everybody. And
It would
yeah,
be
I mean,
terribly destructive. And so that they
right,
will not let us do.
right. Yeah. And I've had that experience too. I've had them stop me from going to work and made me get gas instead of going
Yeah.
to work to take me away from an accident that happened that I would have probably been in. Yeah.
I think probably, when we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, that was probably the close, or that was maybe even the start of them becoming actively involved in our world governments,
I can believe that. I can
because
believe that
that
because
that's the
yeah,
closest we've come to self-destructing
right.
on a large scale. Yeah.
And it would be worse if we got into something else. And I've been hearing too that they've stopped the missiles from going off. They've disconnected the buttons and everything else so that they wouldn't go
Yeah.
off. So
I
they've already
believe it.
interfered.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yep.
Yeah, they're awesome.
We're
They're
we're a
awesome.
very we're a very we're a very foolish race.
Hmm.
What they've told me is that there will always be wars, so long as there are men who are greedy and desire power and control, there will always be wars.
Okay, so there's a message to everybody. Don't be greedy.
Yeah, be better. Like we should all be aspiring to be better people.
Right. Let's not do this
You know,
anymore.
let's not.
Right. Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So tell us more.
What more do you want to know? What do you want? What would you like to talk about?
Everything. I want everything. Um, you have this ability to be able to remove pain with your hands. So is that a type of Reiki
It's
that you're
not, and
doing?
I have to tell you, I know absolutely nothing about Reiki. It's just something, it's a procedure or a technique that I've just sort of developed intuitively out of a desire to be of service. And I never charge money for that. I can't possibly, you know. I can't because I've never been in serious pain and discomfort for any length of time. I've never been hospitalized for any reason. I've never had an operation or a broken bone. I've never been seriously ill. I've never been in a serious accident. No fender benders, but nothing where I was injured. And I think to have made it into my 60s, that's just extremely unusual. And
Yeah.
to me, that comes with a responsibility to express gratitude and appreciation and to demonstrate that by being of service to others. And so what I do is, if someone comes to me or I'll offer if I see that they're in pain, I envision the pain as a tangible substance. If it's a recent pain, the consistency is that of a jelly.
Okay.
If it's a chronic pain and it's been there for a long time, it's the consistency of tar. And so what I do is I make an incision with my finger on the affected area, and I'm pretty good about routing out where the pain is and the space that it occupies. It's usually in the shape of a circle or a triangle or an ellipse.
Okay.
And I'll make an incision, and then I'll go in with my hands, and it's sort of a cross between squeezing a pimple and pulling taffy. That's what it feels like. I'll go in and I'll sort of work it up into my hands, and then I'll pop it into my hand, and then I don't want it either. So I always envision this beautiful, clear running stream next to me. It's crystal clear, and I rinse my hands off in the water, and the water dissolves it and carries it downstream. And then I go in and do that maybe a minimum of 3 times until I feel satisfied that I've pulled out that gunk. And then there's an empty pocket left that the pain had occupied. I need to fill that. So I press my hands against it, and there's this beautiful green glowing healing energy. It's like a honey consistency that spills down over my shoulders and out my fingertips. And I fill that pocket with that energy. And then I smooth it over, top it off. And then I'll ask the person to, if I'm working on their shoulder, for example, I'll say, give me a little range of motion. And it's miraculous because they're able to move in ways that they hadn't. While I'm doing that work, people report one of two things. They'll feel a very cooling sensation, or they'll feel a very tingly, warm sensation. And I don't know what the difference is or why that would be. I don't have an explanation for that. But I've had people come to me with canes and walkers and walk out. I've had a couple instances where people were on their way to the emergency room and ended up not needing to go as a result of having been healed. But the really curious thing is I find out about this secondhand. Like nobody ever follows up to say thank you. I don't know if that's because it's
Oh,
free. I don't charge. But if that were me, I'd be like thrilled and I'd want to follow up and say thank you, thank you. But I very rarely hear from anybody
oh, we thank you for everything you do.
for what
Oh,
it's worth. I mean, it doesn't deter me from continuing to do it, but it's really extraordinary when people don't need medical treatment as a result of this exchange of energy. And I never take credit for anything that I do. I always tell people, listen, don't glorify me because it doesn't come from me, it comes through me. And that's something I really drive home with my students also. Don't ever take credit for it. If you start doing that, then you're in the wrong field because it's not about your ego. It's not about trying to shock and impress people. It's not about trying to feel superior to other people. It's the opposite. You work through humility, and you allow yourself to be the beacon or the channel or the vessel.
yeah, that's how I always do it. If things come through and all of that is happening, I'm like, it's not me. And I do
Right?
card readings. It's not me.
Mhm.
It's spirit coming through and talking
Right.
to
Well,
me.
I
It's
give credit to God, and I know a lot of people don't use the word God, especially younger people don't use the word God. And to me, it doesn't matter if you call it God or source or universe or higher power, Wonder Woman. I don't care what you call it, but we need to acknowledge that's the source.
hmm yeah. It all comes from the source. If we didn't have source, then we wouldn't have anything. So even if it's coming through, like I would say, spirit, or what spirit is also God to me, it could
Mhm.
be anybody in that realm, in the higher energy like that. So it could be just anybody, you know. We all come
So
from
long
one.
as your right, so long as your intention is for the greater good of the highest order, there are those spiritual resources that are at our disposal who desire to collaborate with us.
Hmm. Right. And that's how we get all of our mediums and channelers and all our energy workers and
Our healers. Hmm.
our healers,
Yes.
where
Hmm.
all of this comes from. It's
Yeah,
all from them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Absolutely.
Right. Right.
And it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful thing. It's really extraordinary. And as I keep saying, endlessly fascinating.
It is. It is. I have
And
so much fun.
it also, Dana, I think it also speaks to our potential as human beings. Wouldn't it
Yeah.
be extraordinary if globally more people realized that we have the capacity to do truly miraculous things for the greater good of our race?
Humanity. And even, I think, even though we're healing the human race, as we're healing the human race, we're also healing other beings, other races throughout the cosmos. I think it transfers out into the cosmos. So when we're doing this work, it's not just for us. It's not just an ego thing. It is for the cosmos.
Well, I think if we're doing beautiful work in collaboration with our spiritual resources, those resources are scoring points also because they're, for working with us so effectively, so it reflects well on them too.
Right, right, right. I like that. That's it. We're all working as one. We are all one. So why can't we just let it happen and let our skills and all work for us?
Right? Because there are people that are disbelieving of the authenticity of it. And
Hmm.
they, show me, prove it to me, So unless and
Right,
until it happens to them and they experience it personally, they have a hard time sort of, wrapping their head around those possibilities.
right, right. And I think it's kind of cool that the science is working their way into all of this, into the
Mhm.
energy realm, and they
Yes.
are now starting to prove that we can do this stuff.
Yep.
So it's
The other thing that I think is an obstacle for people believing is that these abilities sometimes get wrongly associated with things that are very dark as well
right,
because of how it's been portrayed in popular culture and horror movies and things of that nature.
right,
So people don't want to dabble in that. They don't want to entertain any of that. Even though, for myself, I do a lot of time prepping for the work, in prayer and meditation, pre
right,
preparing myself so that I am doing work that is beautiful and authentic and of service. But I understand it. I get where people are coming, you know.
yeah. I mean, it's hard. I've had a few people say, "Oh, Dana, be very careful with what you're doing. Really watch yourself.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
And you
careful."
should be careful. But
Right.
that's part of, I always tell my students, listen, it's terribly important that you turn on to do the work because no one should be turned on 24/7. Like they
Hmm.
make it look on some of these psychic TV shows, But it's equally as important that when you are finished, that you turn off. And you should have a process for doing that as well, so that you can go back to real life and be a normal person and not be bothered with all of that stuff until you're ready to do the work again.
Right, right. And I do a mantra every morning and night. So
Hmm.
I bring them in for the day and out for the night.
So
So yeah.
people will ask me, well, isn't it hard for you, being out in public, picking up on other people's stuff? Aren't you awakened in the middle of the night by people's deceased loved ones and other spirits? And I say, no, that never happens. None of that ever happens because I don't allow it to happen. You know, I set very specific and clear boundaries, and I know they're there, and I know they're waiting to work with me, and they're very patient. And when it's time, I'll say, now it's time. And then when it's done, I'll say, okay, I need to go home and go back to being a normal person.
Yeah, it's my time now. The
Mhm.
office is closed. Hours are
Well, it's
over.
interesting you say that because part of my shutting down is I envision pulling a shade down on the window of the business, and the shade says off duty and closed for business. So I am
Yep,
done. I am done and off duty.
there you go. See, there you go. Yeah. I haven't gotten busy enough to get to that point yet. So, when it gets to that point, then you start figuring out, okay, these are my hours. This is where we're going. Now it's time to wait. You know,
Hmm.
I have another friend of mine. He used to be an actor, so he tells them to go wait in the green room.
Oh,
You know,
that's a great strategy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You
I
have to go
like
to the
that.
green room because
Yeah.
until I'm ready. So
Yes, yes. Well, I even go so far as to say, so for example, if I have a day of sessions, private sessions lined up with people, I will say, um, I'm asking my team to regulate that by being the gatekeepers for other people's deceased loved ones who are going to come forward. And I'm saying it's got to be specific to these people separate and apart from one another. Like, I don't want any overlapping. I don't want
yeah,
somebody from the 2:30 appointment showing up at the 11 a.m. appointment.
right, right. The right one's got to come in for the right person. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yep. So that's part of the prep work also, is like really setting those boundaries.
yeah. And there's a lot of boundaries that I'm learning that is needed for all of this. And it's really cool. It's really cool that we have that per se power, it's our will. I know it's our will to be able to work a certain time frame and all,
Mhm.
but it's really neat that we're able to have that say and hey, I'm open for you right now. Oh, wait, no, not right now.
Right. You have to wait your turn. Yep.
Right.
Well, if any of our listeners are really interested in all of that, I did write a book called The Practicing Psychic that explains all of this in great detail from a professional standpoint. If people are kind of dabbling with or curious about possibly, doing it part-time or possibly, expanding what it is that they're offering beyond, just a small group of family or friends or neighbors, the practicing psychic is probably a good resource for that.
Well, keep me in touch because I like to get a book of all my guests that have a book, and I'm looking for a signed autographed book. So
Hmm.
let's talk afterwards.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, that is a great thing to be knowing is a lot of this stuff that um, the details that people don't necessarily think of when they're getting into it.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize there was actually like rules with it, like that. You can come
Absolutely.
in here, you can go in there, or to protect yourself going in, protect yourself
Hmm.
going out.
Hmm.
There's all these different things that it's really it's a process. It
It's
really is
terribly
a
important.
process.
Yeah, it's really important because if you are careless or ignorant or reckless about how you're going about doing this, you're going to really make yourself sick. And eventually it's going to catch up with you mentally, emotionally, physically, and or spiritually. It's going to start to erode and deteriorate those three domains of your personhood.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of protection for yourself. Yeah, definitely.
And then the turning off piece. Like when I'm done I've finished up a long day of private sessions. I don't want any hitchhikers in my car going home, you know? I I I'm saying, okay, I'm pulling the shade down, off duty, closed for business. I'll tap my forehead 3 times. When I get home, there's also a process where I need to relax and unwind if I need to eat, because I usually don't eat at all during the day when I'm working. I might need to eat a little something, perhaps some nuts or some kind of protein. Sometimes, if I've been doing an event where I'm in a theater or I'm working with an audience, I'll need to take a shower before I go to bed because if I don't do that, I'm tossing and turning all night long. So I need to literally stand under the water and let the water do its thing and just send it all down the drain and really rinse it off of me.
Yeah, I that's one thing I learned at my last expo that I was in. My teacher explained to me because she was in the expo also. She's like, go to the bathroom every once in a while and go wash your hands.
Hmm.
So I did that,
Mhm.
and it's amazing. Now at work, every once in a while, I'll start feeling like energy coming through my hands.
Mhm.
And I work with tubing and stuff. So the tubing will get really sticky
The
here lately.
metal. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. And it's like, oh, I got to go wash my hands. I've got energy coming out. I've got, um, what would you call it? The negative coming out of me, or the
Maybe
something
residual energy from whoever handled it last or something like that too. Yeah.
something. Yeah, something is
Mhm.
going on with it. And it's like, oh, I need to go wash my hands. So I've been like in the bathroom a lot, washing
Well,
my hands. It's
water has a very keen intellect and it has extraordinary healing properties also. So we can't underestimate its power.
right, right. Water is awesome. It's like
The
the, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's also part of what I do to prep is my lifestyle outside of doing the work is really pretty strict in terms like I've been vegetarian for over 30 years now. I have a little orange juice with my breakfast, but then I only ever drink just water. I exercise every day. I take an hour-long walk every morning, 50 push-ups when I come in. Days that I'm based at home, I work out with weights. And I also pray throughout each day to stay connected and keep those lines of communication open. So the average person doesn't realize the extent of the discipline and the preparation that gets invested in planning for the times when you do the work.
Yeah, I do a lot at work. I try to do a lot of listening to the podcasts of all of this,
Mhm.
or I'll sit there and I'll see what I can do of trying to connect as I'm working. I know it's a little harder and everything, but I try to connect. I'm trying to always like see if I can see something around or hear something, or um, just trying to work with whatever I can at work so that it can build my skills.
One of the most important things that I think our listeners who are interested in all of this could do is to connect with the primary or lead spirit guide that has been assigned to them. We all have at least one. And it's not someone we've known in this lifetime. It's a relationship that was established prior to being born. And there's a process to create that connection. And if I don't know, Dana, if when you post this, I don't know where you post the interview, but I can send you links to a couple of articles that I wrote that are online. The first is 3 steps to connect to your spirit guide, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do. And then the follow-up article is 6 signs to know that your spirit guide is here. And it's actually tangibles of things that will manifest in real time to let you know that you've connected properly and your guide is letting you know through these signs that he or she or it is around you.
Yeah, go ahead and send that over to me and we can put that in the notes below. Definitely. Yeah,
Terrific. Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is great. You have so much information on this. It's really cool to hear all of that and to learn some more points about it. It's great.
So I have
So
a story about my spirit guide, my lead guide,
go for it.
that I think we have time to tell if
Yeah,
we do. Yes.
yeah, go for it.
So this was about 25 years ago. I was reading about spirit guides. I didn't know anything about them. I think it was a book, one of the books by John Edward, actually, who he talks a lot about spirit guides. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to name my spirit guide. And for reasons unknown, the name Frank just popped into my head. And I said, well, that's as good a name as any. I'll call you Frank. And I had come to understand through what I was reading that you need to wait about a week to 10 days usually until that presence makes itself known to you. And I think it was exactly a week. I was home and there was a knock on my door, and it was a young fellow who had been driving the garbage truck that day. And at the time, I lived on the edge of a little cul-de-sac, and he had come to the door to tell me that he had pulled the truck into the cul-de-sac, but as he was backing out, he clipped my mailbox post and split the post, and he was coming to the door to tell me. And I
Uh-huh.
said, "Well, from where I stand, it looks okay." And he said, "No, you better come down and take a look." So I did, and sure enough, it was split. And I said to him, "Will the sanitation company pay for a replacement post?" And he said that they would. So he hopped into the cab of his truck and he jotted down the information for me, the contact information. And I looked at it and it was his name and number. And I said, "Wait a minute. I thought you said they would pay for the replacement." And then it dawned on me, and I said to him, "Oh, if I report this, does that put you in jeopardy?" And he said, "Well, it could affect my driving record with the company, and I would just as soon go to Home Depot and get you a replacement post and come back and do it myself." And I said, "Well, okay, let me think about it and I'll get back to you." And he drove off. Within the hour, I had made up my mind because this kid was so, he was 20 something. He was so, I wanted to honor his honesty, you
Right.
know? So I saw what happened as an opportunity. So I said, I'm going to honor this kid's honesty. I go to call him. His first name is Frank. His last name is Ward, W-A-R-D. And that stuck with me for about 24 hours. And it finally occurred to me that's a word in the English language, ward, W-A-R-D. And I looked it up. And Dana, do you know that the definition of the word ward pertains to guardianship and the act of keeping guard over someone? This kid's name translated to Frank the Guardian. And I thought, there's my sign, there's my communication of Frank, my guide. That Frank Ward is not my spirit guide, but it's what he symbolized. And that was the communication. My guardian, Frank, is here. So Frank Ward made good on his word. He came back and replaced the mailbox post like he said he would. And as he's digging it out and putting the new one in, I'm chatting with him. And he said, I wasn't supposed to have even been here that day. He says, I was filling in for someone who had called off sick. It was my first time driving in the area. My regular route was way on the other side of town. So what more validation did I need of my friend, right?
That's that is awesome. I love
It,
these
it
stories.
was amazing. Yeah, it was just amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. So since then, ever since then, I've been connected to my lead guide, who is Frank, and then there are three others that they all sort of work together as a symphony.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like say, I just recently in the last couple days connected with four of my star seeds.
Hmm.
Yeah, which was really, really cool. So I'll get working on it. I'll read your information and everything and connect with my guides and it's that's so awesome.
Yeah.
It's just so
And
it just
and I
makes me
think that
smile.
yeah, it's truly beautiful and remarkable and
Yeah,
amazing. Skeptics and cynics will say, well, that's all a great coincidence. Well, it doesn't matter if it's a coincidence or not. It happened to me and it had relevance and it's meaningful, right?
right.
I think that if you are someone who is desiring to do more of this work, to explore it, to maybe start doing it semi-professionally as you're doing, um, having that backup, that spiritual reinforcement of at least one lead guide is necessary. And it's something that you'll really feel. I think you'll feel a difference because it will grant you confidence. Like when I step out onto a stage in front of an audience of people and I start to open my mouth, I need to know, I need to have confidence in knowing that what's coming out of my mouth is going to be relevant and meaningful, and it's going to connect to specific people in that room. And
Hmm.
I know that I've got backup in the form of my team.
Right.
And when I'm working, I feel and sense them to my left, which I think is going to be my right as people are looking at me in the video. So, do you know that people have come up to me at the end of an event to say that they've seen them? People have told me all night long we kept seeing colored lights next to you. We kept seeing shimmering in the air next to you. We're seeing figures or motion back and forth next to you. And that's a really amazing validation. I don't see them, but I sense them, but I don't see them.
Right.
That other people are seeing them in the same place that I feel them is amazing to me.
Yeah. It is all amazing. All amazing. Not in 2018 is when I kind of got started with all of this. That's where
Hmm.
I met Shane, and he introduced me to the concept of a psychic and all of this
Hmm.
stuff. And before then, I was one of them. I was one of them that would say, whatever,
Me too.
you
I
know.
was one of those people too. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like, this stuff is so real. It is so out there if you just
Hmm.
open your eyes and give it the time.
Yeah. And I think because I had been one of those very jaded, cynical individuals, I think that's part of why I have such extremely high standards of excellence for myself. Because if it doesn't ring quite true to me, or if I feel like someone's stretching it to be something it's not, that doesn't wash with me, you know? So
Yeah.
I want to be always at like at least 98% accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that one. I want to be very accurate and very little misconceptions or
Right.
whatnot.
Like I'll say
Yeah.
to someone, oh, your dad has a white dog next to him, and they'll say, oh, you mean it's a white cat? And I'll say, no, a dog is not a cat. I'm seeing a white dog.
Oh,
And so when they do a little research, they find out, well, that was dad's dog when he was a child, and they never knew the animal, but they're saying, oh, we had a white cat. And I'm saying, no, it's not the same thing.
right, right. Yeah. I want to be to the point where I can give absolute evidence for the person.
Hmm.
I want to have that evidence. I want them to know there's nobody else with this type of experience. And
Like the red fox,
it's,
right? On the
yeah,
motorcycle fender. Like,
exactly.
where did that come from? It could only have come from her deceased brother.
Right, right. That's how I want to be. That's where I'm working to get so that
Hmm.
there's no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
doubt spirit is
Well,
with
listen,
us.
no one is 100%, so don't make
True.
100% your goal.
Very
But,
true.
but work toward that, maybe not 90 percentile, somewhere in there. Yeah, would be great. Would be great. Yes. But it's a
Yeah.
process. It's really a process, and it's very much like learning another language.
Yeah.
And, and sort of,
I can see that.
the more you become fluent in another language, the more it becomes second nature. If you don't know it, like I took like 2 or 3 years of German in school. I couldn't tell you anything. I can't speak German. I couldn't tell you anything about it because I haven't used it since then.
Right.
But if you're using it and you're kind of working that muscle on a regular basis, you're going to become more confident and more fluent.
Right. Right. I'm getting there. I will get there. I am there. I am
Yes.
there.
Yes. Terrific.
I love it. I love it. Well, I so appreciate you being with us, and you're welcome to come back and be with us
Thank
and
you.
tell more
I had a
stories.
lot of fun. I had a lot of
Yeah.
fun telling stories and chatting, and I appreciate your humility and your desire to put effort into becoming an improved version of your old self by evolving into this person who is going to be of service to others beyond what you're doing now, even. And wouldn't it be great if we all had that aspiration, you know?
It would be so awesome. I want to help people. I want to be able to help them heal like I'm healing. I'm going through so much healing and so much change and everything,
Mhm.
and the growth of it. It's just
It's really truly why we're here, Dana, is to figure out how to take the very best of what we have to offer and employ that, even the tragic things that have happened to us, to figure out how to use that to be of service to other people. And
right.
it's that simple. That's the secret meaning of life. To take what you know to be true about yourself, good, bad, and indifferent, and employ it proactively to be of service. That's it.
That's it.
And
That's a
on that
great way to
happy
end.
note,
Right. Well,
well,
we'll go ahead.
I've had a ball. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show. Much appreciated. And you have any last words? I mean, I think you already kind of said that. That was pretty beautiful there. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank you. I've enjoyed my time with you, and you're delightful, and you have a lovely energy about you. And I know that you're very sincere in your desire to continue to be of service to other people. So please know, from one sensitive to another, please know that I see that and I recognize that in you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm working on it.
All
I'm
right.
being strong. I'm taking
Yes.
it.
Terrific. Well, it's our birthright. It's our birthright.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
All right. Well,
All right.
thank
Well,
you
thank
again,
you
and I
so
want to
much.
say good night to everybody, or good morning, or good day, and I had fun. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. If anyone else out there has any stories you would like to share, email me at lighttalk423@gmail.com and we will talk with everyone later. Till next time. Bye.